The moment she starts pulling back, your instincts scream at you to chase harder, to text more, call more, show up more, to prove your worth through effort. That's exactly what she expects you to do. That's exactly what kills her interest completely. She backs off, and you panic. You think more attention equals more attraction. You think persistence equals dedication. You think chasing shows you care. But here's what's really happening. When you chase a woman who's backing away, you're confirming every doubt she had about you. You're proving that you need her more than you respect yourself. You're showing her that her withdrawal has power over your peace. And that, brother, that's where most men lose the game before they even realize they're playing it. When she backs off, she's testing something deeper than your interest. She's testing your foundation. She's seeing if you'll crumble the moment she removes her attention. She's watching to see if you'll abandon your mission, your standards, your self-worth, just to keep her engaged. And when you chase, you fail that test spectacularly. But there's another way, a way that not only preserves your dignity, but actually makes you more magnetic than you've ever been. The way of the man who doesn't just refuse to chase, but does something so powerful, so unexpected, that it flips the entire dynamic in his favor. You mirror her energy exactly, not out of spite, not as a manipulation tactic, but as a reflection of your own self-respect. When she backs off, you back off further. When she gets distant, you become unreachable. When she withdraws her energy, you redirect yours entirely. This isn't about playing games. This is about honoring the energy exchange that healthy relationships require. See, most men think mirroring means copying her moves step by step. That's amateur hour. Real mirroring means reflecting her investment level while maintaining your own standard. If she's giving you 20% effort, you don't give her 20% back. You give her nothing until she shows up properly, because you understand something most men never learn. Energy flows toward value, not toward need. When she backs off and you don't chase, something fascinating happens in her psychology. The space you create forces her to feel your absence, not just physically, but energetically. She expected you to fill the void she created. She expected you to compensate for her lack of effort. Instead, you left her alone with the consequences of her choice. That silence you create becomes a mirror she can't avoid. She starts seeing her own behavior reflected back at her. She starts feeling the emptiness she created, and for the first time, she has to sit with the reality that her withdrawal has actual consequences, that pulling back from a high-value man means losing access to him entirely. But here's where most men mess this up. They mirror her energy for a day or two, then crack. They convince themselves she's not responding because the strategy isn't working. They panic and go right back to chasing. They turn mirroring into a temporary tactic instead of a permanent standard. The man who truly understands this concept doesn't mirror her energy hoping she'll come back. He mirrors her energy because that's what self-respect looks like. He doesn't withdraw his attention to manipulate her response. He withdraws it because she's shown him she doesn't value it. And a man who values himself doesn't force his presence where it's not appreciated. This is about becoming outcome independent. When you truly mirror her energy, you're not sitting around waiting for her to notice. You're not checking your phone every 5 minutes hoping she's reached out. You're genuinely moving forward with your life, your goals, your mission. You're dating other women. You're investing in your purpose. You're becoming a better version of yourself. And that shift, that genuine detachment from the outcome, that's what creates real magnetism. Women can sense desperation from miles away. They can feel when your peace depends on their response. They know when you're performing self-respect versus actually having it. But they can also sense authentic indifference. They can feel when you've genuinely moved on. They can tell when you're no longer orbiting their emotions. That's when everything changes. When you stop chasing and start mirroring, you force her to experience something she rarely feels in modern dating. Uncertainty about your interest, doubt about her ability to get you back, the fear that she might have actually lost something valuable. Most women today are used to men being predictable. Chase, beg, explain, repeat. But a man who mirrors her energy, that's dangerous. That's unpredictable. That's attractive. She backs off expecting you to pursue. Instead, you back off further. She withdraws thinking you'll fight for her attention. Instead, you withdraw your entire presence from her world. She creates distance assuming you'll try to close it. Instead, you create even more distance and start building something better in that space. This isn't about punishment. This is about standards. You're not withdrawing to hurt her. You're withdrawing because she's demonstrated that she doesn't value what you bring. And a man with options doesn't force himself into spaces where he's not wanted. Here's what starts happening when you consistently mirror her energy. She begins to question her own behavior. She starts wondering if she made a mistake. She starts comparing your response to how other men typically react. And slowly, she realizes that you're not like other men. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't explain. You simply match her energy and move accordingly. That realization creates something powerful in her mind: respect. She starts respecting you because you respect yourself. She starts valuing your attention because you value it too. She starts wanting access to you because you've made that access scarce and earned. But the real magic happens when she finally reaches out, when she tries to reconnect after backing off. Most men get excited. They think they've won. They immediately return to their previous level of investment. They go right back to being overly available, overly eager, overly accommodating. The man who truly understands mirroring doesn't get excited when she reaches back out. He stays consistent with his new standard. He doesn't immediately give her the same level of access she had before. She has to earn her way back to his full attention. She has to prove through consistent actions that she values what he brings. This is where you separate the women who are genuinely interested from those who just want to keep you as an option. A woman who truly values you will step up when she realizes she's losing you. She'll put in effort to rebuild what she damaged. She'll show you through actions, not just words, that she recognizes your worth. But a woman who is just keeping you around for validation, for attention, for convenience, she'll disappear when she realizes you're not going to chase. She'll move on to the next man who will give her what you're no longer willing to provide. And that's exactly what you want. You want the pretenders to eliminate themselves. Mirroring her energy becomes a filtering mechanism. It separates the women who see your value from those who take it for granted. It shows you who's willing to invest in building something real versus who just wants to consume your energy without giving anything back. When you master this approach, you never have to wonder where you stand with a woman. Her actions tell you everything you need to know. If she backs off, you back off further, and her response to that tells you exactly how she feels about you. If she steps up to reconnect, you know she values what you bring. If she disappears, you know she was never really interested in the first place. Either way, you win, because you're operating from a place of self-respect, not neediness. You're making decisions based on how people treat you, not on how much you want them to like you. You're building relationships with people who appreciate your presence instead of tolerating your pursuit. The man who mirrors energy doesn't lose women. He loses the illusion of women who were never really his to begin with. He stops wasting time on people who don't reciprocate his investment. He starts attracting people who match his energy naturally because that's the standard he's set. This becomes your new operating system. When someone backs off, you back off further. When someone withdraws, you redirect your energy elsewhere. When someone shows you through their actions that they don't value your presence, you make that presence scarce until they prove otherwise. You don't chase what doesn't chase you back. You don't invest where the investment isn't appreciated. You don't force connections that require force to maintain. You simply mirror the energy you receive and let people's actions determine their place in your life. That's how you become the man that women chase instead of the man who chases women. Not through manipulation or games, but through genuine self-respect and consistent standards. You become magnetic, not because you're trying to attract anyone, but because you've become someone worth being attracted to. Stop chasing. Start mirroring. Watch how quickly everything changes when you value yourself enough to require others to do the same.